13 here with Narset Cannon. This is one of my favorite decks. This was actually the first video I recorded for Squirrel Dealer, but it didn't end up piecing together well. It was requiring too much video editing. It's kind of the one that set the pace for our content today. But this deck is definitely the deck for Dream Smashers. I don't consider myself much of a troll, but I would 100% take this to a GP, hopefully play against a professional player in round one, absolutely crush their dreams, and then move on to like 1-8 the rest of the Grand Prix. Yeah, this deck is a Dream Crusher deck. So this deck is super explosive. It doesn't do anything consistently. I have gotten several turn 1 kills, and this deck is quite insane for that reason. What is this deck doing for those unaware? We are going to be putting Narset and Enlightened Master into the graveyard with Faithless Looting and, or Pull from Eternity. Then, unlike last night, we're going to be using Goryo's Vengeance unfairly to put Narset into play and get a free attack trigger with her. Narset's going to exile the top 4 cards of our library, and we may cast non-creatures for free until end of turn. So, Narset, we occasionally get beats down with, but what we're trying to do here is basically, I guess we'll get to that. Let's just go to the other. Let's go here first. What we're basically doing is we're trying to flip any of these cards. Enter the Infinite's going to win on the spot. Savage Beating is going to untap Narset and then attack in again and hopefully exile 4 more cards and cast those 4 cards. Savage Beating will also allow us to get Double Strike. That's one of the ways that Narset's going to beat down. Can you imagine this monk just savage beating somebody to death? Because I've done it more than once. Yes, it doesn't look like she could savage beat anybody. She's enlightened, but no, she is going to be sitting there beating somebody down to death. Alternatively, Fury of the Horde, we have 4 of these. We can exile cards, get an additional combat step. This is free to cast from hand. And then Enter the Infinite is going to be draw our entire deck, put a card back on top. That card that we're going to put on top is actually the Omniscience here. And then we're going to end up free casting Fury of the Horde by exiling red cards from our hand. At which point we're going to attack in, flip Omniscience, we're going to free cast Emrakul. But then we also have a couple of tools to let this happen. We have Spoils of the Vault. I've killed myself many times with Spoils of the Vault in this deck. It's going to happen tonight more than likely. Spoils of the Vault will allow us to name our missing combo piece because we need like 4 pieces to go off. It's actually quite insane. But we're going to exile cards until we find that combo piece. A lot of times we call Pull from Eternity, or we have Pull from Eternity in hand. Hopefully we exile Narset with Spoils of the Vault. Then we Pull from Eternity, put her back into the graveyard, Goryo's Vengeance, start to combo, get extra combat steps, flip our deck, and continue playing. This deck can very much be concede on turn 2 if you don't make it happen. It can mulligan to Oblivion and lose, or you can get a turn 1 kill. If you're decent with this deck, understand your lines, figure out what to call, and maybe a little bit lucky, you can actually play this up until the game's conclusion. You can play around hate pieces. I know that Jeff Hooglin plays this, but he usually doesn't get the kill, he just concedes. I'm going to try to play this out as much as possible, and yeah, I love this deck. This deck is probably my favorite modern deck. Alright, so we won the... Oh, crap. I wasn't supposed to play. Alright, well, this is a mulligan. You're supposed to always take the draw with this deck, and that is something I horribly messed up here. I can't even Serum Powder here. So Serum Powder allows us to get a free mulligan. But we have to exile all the cards in our hand. Goryo's Vengeance is the single card that allows us to go off. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, so what does this do? This tells our opponent what we're doing. I think we're going to go to 4 and then concede, and that's exactly what this deck does. I guess we can go to 3. Nope. Alright. This time we're going to take the draw. We're going to run it back. Opponent has no clue what we're doing. We don't know what they're doing. It's fine. That first hand might have been keepable if I had correctly taken the draw, but this deck does have 13 lands. The Swamp is actually a personal preference of mine just because of the amount of Field of Ruins and Path to Exiles and Ghost Quarters running around. The Swamp will allow us to cast a lot of our tutor cards, our 1 of combo piece. We can end up Simian Spirit Guiding and doing stuff under a Blood Moon. This time we're not taking the play, we're taking the draw. And this is a hand I'm very happy to Serum Powder away. So the only combo piece that we really have in here is Pull from Eternity, and there's no Narset to exile with the Serum Powder. Again, we're going to end up losing a 2 combat steps, but don't really care. And this hand is looking a lot more our speed. So we have not exiled a Goryo's Vengeance yet. This is going to be turn 1, get a Gemstone Cavern, exile probably Brilliant Ultimatum, and then we can Faithless Looting away Narset. If we draw into a Goryo's Vengeance and a Simian Spirit Guide, it's a kill. So we can go ahead and keep this. And we're going to exile Brilliant Ultimatum because we're never going to cast that. Brilliant Ultimatum is a rebuy. If we flip it with Narset, we get to look at the top 5 cards for something to exile. And yeah, we took our first game, lost like a champ. That's exactly what this deck does. Currently down 1 in the match, and that was super quick. I think opponents reading through our cards trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so they don't have discard. Discard's a little rough for us in this deck, which is why we have ley lines in the sideboard. Opponent said, I don't know what is happening, but I like it. Sorry, opponent, but you're not going to like it in a minute. Alright, chat box is back. We are going to Faithless Looting. Spoils of the Vault can get us our Goryo's Vengeance, so that's a live draw. We're probably going to have to cast it in step, getting rid of Narset and Brilliant Ultimatum. Play our land for turn, that's going to cast our Spoils, and step Spoils for Goryo's, and then hopefully win on the spot. Yeah, so opponent was definitely trying to figure out what the heck we exiled here. Alright, Young Pyromancer is 100% beatable. So, Spoils of the Vault. We're going to choose a card name, reveal from the top until we reveal that name, and put it into our hand. Exile the rest. We'll lose life equal to the number of cards revealed. Again, I can kill myself here, but we have 4 of 36, so that's likely not going to happen. It was 3. So we have Serum Powder. Yeah, that all seems fine. Alright, and Fury of the Horde is a little rough just because we don't have a second red source. So hopefully our Narset is kind. We did exile a decent number of extra steps here, but we've only hit, oh boy, we have 3 Enter, I guess 2 Enter the Infinites. These are revealed. Narset, I don't know why she has First Strike, but it is one of the best things about that card. It makes it so hard for people to block or kill her. Between Hexproof and First Strike, you have to have like a Goyf or something. And we just won. So what we get to do here is I'm going to... You can only cast this during combat. Well, some of these are you can only cast in your second main phase. So we're going to untap and get an additional combat phase. So Narset's going to hit for 3. We get an additional attack. It honestly doesn't matter because we have the win here. I guess that was actually just an unnecessary Savage Beating, but Narset's speeding somebody down. We got to let that happen. So into the Infinite, we're going to draw the rest of our deck. Then we have to put a card on top. The card we put on top is going to be Omniscience. We're going to take our additional combat step here. We're going to cycle back to begin combat, get one more attack phase. The reason I run for Enter the Infinites is because it is our easiest win by a long shot. So we're going to put out Omniscience there, then we're going to free cast Emrakul. We'll get an additional turn and get a 5/5. Okay, we were milled out, so what our opponent was supposed to make us do is cast this Enter the Infinite. See if I can pan over. Guess not. Enter the Infinite, we'll put a card back on top of our library. That's going to be the card that we draw in our extra turn, and then we win. So, They are on more than likely Mardu Pyromancer. We need ley lines because discard will ruin our day. So ley lines come in. More than likely they're going to be on Leyline of the Void. We need Echoing Truth because if we can't reanimate Narset, it's going to be a very slow, painful game getting up to 6 mana with 13 lands, especially because 4 will kill themselves. So Echoing Truth is here just so that we can try to bounce it. When you're on the Leyline plan, I'm less of a fan of Unsubstantiate. This is in here for Relic / Grafdigger's Cage, just because they actually have to cast it, invest in one. Slaughter Pact is in here for Thalia. Their list doesn't run it. Ravenous Trap is for Dredge. Commandeer is actually for Tron of all things. It will allow us to steal a non-creature spell and also exile Narset. As far as cuts, Brilliant Ultimatum is our worst rebuy. I'm not a huge fan of Savage Beating. The 5 mana is just meh, but it's the weird one that we have to cast during combat, and it's the easiest to actually misclick through. You need 2 Omnisciences, one in case you exile it with Serum Powder, and I am running 4 copies of Enter the Infinite. This is my personal spice. Hitting Enter the Infinite is the easiest way to win, especially on Magic Online. It's the least easy way to fizzle. As far as cuts, I don't... Serum Powder is always an awkward one because it helps average out our horrible mulliganing that we saw in Game 1. And Spoils can cost a lot of life, but this deck is very explosive. It's a turn 1, turn 2 kill. I guess it's just going to be a Trim Savage and a Serum Powder. Alright, so we have 2 ley lines and nothing else going on. So I can Serum Powder this away. The only card in here I actually care about is probably the Enter the Infinite. It means that we might get discarded if we mulligan, but going to 7 is significantly better than going to 6. Then we have no mana here. Getting rid of Narset's fine for Pull from Tomorrow, or Pull from Eternity. Spoils, we don't have our land. This means that one of our probably requirements is going away, and oh well, that's where we're at. And this is awesome. So we still haven't exiled any Goryo's Vengeances, which is the card you need to keep track of most of all. This means that we're going to Gemstone for a free land, we're going to get Leyline, and we have a way to exile Narset if we need to, but more than likely Faithless Looting is going to happen. And opponent's going deep looking for the Leyline. Leyline of Sanctity, Gemstone. Awesome. Then I have to exile a card. I'm really looking at Fury of the Horde here, because Spoils is going to get Goryo's Vengeance, and then we have Faithless Looting. Yeah, it's going to be Fury. Then... So Spoils here can go get Goryo's. If it does, we're still just going to Faithless Looting this turn. I think we need to give it 1 natural draw and hope that they're not on Surgical. But if they are, Spoils can go get me a Pull from Eternity. So, or we just... This is when we need to get Goryo's because we could exile Simian Spirit Guide and win this turn. This could have been a turn 1 win. That's so disappointing. Alright. Well, if they Surgical us, it's going right back in the graveyard. Correct sequencing from opponent is wait for us to Goryo's and then Surgical, and then we have to find one more. There's young Peze. And I guess we're going to check to see if they have... Or if we kill ourselves, it's always a possibility. Goryo's Vengeance. Oh, it was on top. How nice of our deck. Alright. Surgical check you, opponent. Guess not. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. Alright, well, Fury's at least a rebuy. So we get the rebuy. Oh boy. Oddly enough, I think Emrakul's our best draw here. Okay, Omniscience will do it. Okay, so what do we actually have here that we care about? Definitely casting Omniscience. May as well get the free Faithless Looting. And this is why I don't like Savage Beating. I would have had to have cast this during combat. Alright, well, that means we're discarding... If I Narset, I can Goryo's it for free. Legend Rule the other one, but one's still getting exiled. We have Pull from Eternity to put him back into the bin. I think that's just our best line here. Then we can cast one for free, see if they've got a Crackling Doom. I want to keep the new one. And unfortunately, Oh, okay, sweet. So if we end up getting an Emrakul in the graveyard, it's going to shuffle everything back in. Seeing as Goryo's Vengeance is our most important card, I want to get these out of exile and into play. And then by keeping the real one, it's going to keep this Narset in the graveyard as well. So now if we Emrakul, we can at least get our 4 Goryos back into the deck. Alright, and that is why I love this deck. So weird to think I'm hardcasting a Narset, sacking one so that I can Goryos it back into play and then keep the one I hardcasted. This deck is insane. Alright, so if they happen to have a Crackling Doom, our Narset is dead. Otherwise, we're going to get at least one more attack with the one that we currently have in play. And I don't think opponent has anything going on. Most of the time when they know what we're playing, they're going to discard themselves for a Chump Blocker. Alright, that works. There's a Bedlam Reveler, gets rid of the Thoughtseize, that would have just cost life. They revealed a Bedlam Reveler and a Lightning Bolt. And Echoing Truth is pretty decent. So, this is probably going to be one of the few games where I'm looking at beating down with Savage Beating Narset. Or we just win. That works. Alright, and then I'm going to Entwine with Omniscience. We still have to pay for it, but we have Enter the Infinite on top of our deck. So now we have a 3-2 double striking Narset like a boss. We get our additional combat step. And they're at a point that this young Pyromancer is not going to do much productive for them. We just got an additional combat step. And these are actually our last 2 Enter the Infinites, so I have to do this now so I can get a card back on top of my deck. We already have the Omniscience, so I guess I don't need to go look for it. We get to cast that. Take the extra turn. Oh, and then we're good. So I can continue to combo off here. But actually, yeah, I want to Savage Beat to death at least once this game. Or I only have 14 cards in hand. I guess I can't. Alright, well, there's our extra turn. We'll draw our Gemstone Mine, and that is game. Das ist ein Dreamcrusher, ja? Poor black-red Pyromancer just didn't even have a shot. I misclicked on what to play game 1, and we still came back and grabbed it. I love this deck. Alright, well, we do not want to take the play. I remembered this time. Then, so anytime I have a Serum Powder, I usually consider this a Goryo's Vengeance hand. We are just a single card away from being able to... Oh my gosh. We need a Narset. So we need a Narset or an Emrakul to make this work. And I don't want a Serum Powder because of the Goryo's Vengeance, so I'm tempted to keep this. We have a little bit of time. Any discard spell, though, and Goryo's is gone. This is one of those awkward ones where we might lose game 1 just because and tell opponent what we're doing and make it very painful. But I guess we can keep this. Mana Confluence will hurt against burn. Oh, it's control. Alright. So we're going to have some time here. Oh, I love this deck. Alright, our life total doesn't matter, which is why this is coming first. We're going to Faithless Looting. There's a Spoils. Don't need the Serum Powder or the Enter the Infinite. And opponent, if they know what this deck is, knows what's going on. Oh my gosh, I didn't put Narset in the bin. I'm so bad at this game. We could have had a turn 2 kill. Alright, so turn 2 is still achievable here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to Spoils of the Vault for Pull from Eternity and exile a Narset. Then we can Gemstone Mine, exile the Simian Spirit Guide, and Goryo's, and this is Spirits. Alright, well, Thalia would have blocked a Narset anyway. What does this mean? After Thalia attacks, I can Narset, but they might have Spell Queller. I suppose we pass and see what opponent's up to. I can't believe I misclicked that. Sometimes it's really hard to talk through your lines and actually click on the right things. I just knew that both these cards were useless. I didn't think I actually had to get Narset in the bin. Oh, so this is blue-white taxes. Please play a Thought Knot. Please do it. I have a redundant hand. Leonin Arbiter. Okay, so I can still Spoils for pull, but I won't be able to combo off this turn. I can Spoils for a land. I haven't shown a Caverns yet, but Caverns is the bad one. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really stop what I'm doing. I think I want to land here is my best bet. It feels awkward not using the Spoils, so I'm actually probably going to kill myself here. I'm going to Spoils for Pull from Eternity and just try to take that line. It's our best shot of winning. And we killed ourselves. Alright. That's what this deck does. So our opponent is on blue-white Eldrazi and taxes. That can infer a couple of things from them, but I think most importantly it means Thought Pact is coming in for Thalia. It also means Echoing Truth is coming in. Echoing Truth is better than Unsubstantiate. This is in here for humans. Oh, they actually might have Meddling Mage. Alright, so I think the full suite of bounce is coming in. Again, our easiest cuts are Brilliant Ultimatum. They're just redraws off of a Narset flip. I'm still not a huge fan of Savage Beating. We saw exactly why in Game 1. Spoils just killed us, but I don't think we can cut it. This is usually on my trim, but we're already at 60, so the question is, do we want any of these over a Spoils? And I don't think that's the case. Yeah, Thalia is just rough, because Thalia is one of the few creatures that can block Narset, and it also makes it so that if we're trying to multi-spell to set up, it's not going to work. Luckily, it comes out on turn 2, but unfortunately, this deck takes the draw. So, alright, well, we mulliganed to death in one game. We killed ourselves with Spoils in the other. I said it was going to happen. And we also did beat the discard deck. So, not in a horrible place. Alright, and this hand is actually going to get Serum Powdered, because we have one Goryo's Vengeance in here, but we don't have anything else that we particularly care about. We have no hate pieces, so it's easy to get a redraw here. This deck, this is a single Faithless Looting away from going off, but seeing a Faithless Looting is kind of hard. We don't have a Spoils to tutor for it. Then this hand doesn't do anything productive, so we're going to Serum Powder it away again. Of note, Emrakul will be in exile, so we need a pull from Eternity to get it back. Slaughter Pack's going away, but whatevs. Then this is a turn 1. Yeah, if we had another land, this is a turn 2 Narset. But this means Spoils is probably going to kill us when we look at 3 of 39, which is why I don't like exiling Goryo's Vengeances. And a second land is fantastic here. So I think first things first, we're just going to Faithless Looting. Although, do we want to do that off the Simian Spirit Guide? Because that would mean that we can Spoils for Goryo's at instep, and then we'll have 2 lands. Yeah, so exile Simian Spirit Guide, we're going to Faithless Looting, pitch out Narset, and probably Unsubstantiate. Then if they go to Narset, we can try to get Goryo, see if we kill ourselves. If not, we're probably going to win. I love this deck. It does so many unfair things that are just fantastic. Rip. Alright. That is a rip. So this Echoing Truth can bounce, but we're going to need all of our pieces to go off. So we're going to be drawing blanks here for a moment while we look for... I guess we only actually need to Spoils for Goryos, then we can Echoing Truth on our turn, pull from Eternity Goryos. So yeah, we might have it next turn. But it's quite possible we kill ourselves. It's always the unknown unknown. Thought Not. What does that change? I think that just gives them a chance to pull whatever they want. If I Spoils now, they'll just take Goryos. Fortunately, we need like all 4 of these. We currently have Unsubstantiate in the graveyard, Slaughter Pact in the graveyard, or Exile, to be more accurate. And we won't be hardcasting this game. That's just not going to happen. I have had games where I end up exiling Simian Spirit Guide to put out a Serum Powder and try to hard run out Narset. Sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't. But being on a 5-turn clock from the Thought Knots here, okay, that's fine. We still have 2 more. In fact, I think I'm still... No. The problem is when we split up our card names like this for Meddling Mage, it makes it so that it's harder to Spoils for. There's currently 1 Unsubstantiate of 35, 1 Echoing Truth of 35, and there's 3 Goryo's Vengeances. So if we draw a Goryo's Vengeance here, we still are looking at like a 1 of 34 chance of killing ourselves. I'd love to Spoils for... Yeah, I think that's our best line. This deck is very explosive and doesn't have a great backup plan. I'm going to go for Goryo's Vengeance here, see if I end up exiling enough cards that it makes it relevant, that if we get another one. Alright, so both Echoing Truths are gone, and kind of running out of cards. So we need an Unsubstantiate now. But we still have 2 Pull from Eternities in the deck. Oh, deck. Deck. Alright, well, Unsubstantiate for the win. We have 2 turns to do it. Or I guess 1 turn, because we're going to get attacked and then be dead on board. And that is the fun of Narset Cannon. You never know which way it's going to blow. Funny enough, if they have another Thought Knot Seer, we're basically screwed. Both of these are required for us to go off. Oh, it's just a Displacer. That's fine. can't activate it this turn, which is good enough. Oh boy. So Faithless Looting, discard Goryo's, and enter the Infinite. We get a... Oh, we need a Simian Spirit Guide for that to even work. Alright, so the out right now is we Simian Spirit Guide into Faithless Looting. We discard these two. We end up getting another Simian Spirit Guide. We Echoing Truth. No, we're just out of cards. Alright, well, we'll give it a shot, but I think we're one card shy. And none of those are that card. Alright, Eldrazi takes that one, partially because of spoils that killed us. Definitely the Dream Smasher deck, though. That poor black-red Pyromancer couldn't do anything about it. We just came too hard and fast and burned twice as bright. So for those of you familiar with this deck, my own personal taste, I've kind of mentioned it already. I like the Swamp. Our opponent showed us a Ghost Quarter there. A lot of times they Ghost Quarter because they know this list only runs the 12 lands, and 4 of them are legendary. So it ends up ramping us when they're not expecting it, and most of the time we can spoils off the Swamp that we go get anyway. I also have in the 4 Enter the Infinites because it's the fastest win condition for MTGO. You just enter the Infinite, Emrakul, enter the Infinite again, drop it, attack. I think I've also tweaked the number of double combat spells. You definitely need the 4 Fury, the Horde. Oh boy. Just because they're free to cast, but I don't necessarily like the Savage Beatings. What does this do? I have a Goryo's Vengeance, but nothing else to do with it. I'd be exiling and Enter the Infinite. Opponent's going to know what's up. I think this has to be a mulligan. Then this hand has nothing important other than one of our 2 copies of Omniscience. I did go to 2 copies. You need 1 in case you do this exact moment right here where you exile it, and you need 1 for actually playing for free with Enter the Infinite. Then this is horrible, but it has kind of a critical mass of cards. This is 4 mana towards hardcasting Narset. But I think we just need a way to get her into the graveyard. Opponent already knows what we're doing because of the 6 that we exiled, so... Show me what you got. Fury of the Horde's hidden text also says exile Narset in case you get a pull from Eternity, which is why this card is so valuable to our strategy. It's our best extra turn spell. And opponent's on Tron. Alright, so we might have a hot minute to do this unless they're on Relic. Relic is very bad for us. Relic will keep our graveyard empty and just make it so that we can never go off. Relic is by far the worst hate card for this deck. We can just bounce a lot of the other pieces and go off, but Relic's just going to keep Narset out of our graveyard, then they can pop at the turn that we commit. And looks like there's Sylvan Scrying into Tron. Alright. So, Faithless Looting into Goryo's Vengeance is a kill here. Savage Beating is not a kill. I guess Faithless Looting into... I guess Spoils could actually be a kill here. Alright, Wormcoil is a little awkward for this deck to get through. It depends on what we flip to get through it. It also means that we're probably waiting for it to attack before we reanimate Narset. And this is technically 1 mana. It does destroy our current Gemstone Cavern, so it doesn't come up very often. But quite a bad draw. If we would have kept that Simian Spirit Guide on top, we'd be at 5 mana for Narset, though. Yep, Wormcoil beats. We exiled 2 spoils, so it's not likely we draw those. So they have another Sylvan Scrying, which means we might have an Ulamog in our future. It also means they'll have 8 mana this turn. Yep, there's another tower, so potentially an Ugin. Oddly enough, Ugin does... Oh, bah humbug. Alright, well, that's probably... Really? This is why you can't do unfair graveyard things. Yeah, it's fine. We're not getting through 2 relics. Alright, so Tron. Echoing Truth, Unsubstantiate, also the package that we want here. Like I said, we want Commandeer for Tron, so we can exile Narset or Omniscience or Brilliant Ultimatum for Commandeer and actually take their relic, which is oddly relevant for us. And it can also take a turn 3 card, at which point they're staring down at their only threat in hand. It's kind of funny. So Commandeer comes in. We have to cut red cards when we bring Commandeer in. So I want the Echoing Truth. I think I can trim on the Unsubstantiate because we're taking the Commandeer. The red cards we want to cut, I always trim on Savage Beating and probably just the one Serum Powder again. This deck actually requires a lot of its pieces to go off, which is why it's really hard to sideboard for. But when you know that you have to bounce the relics, when you know that you have to like steal their card or their threat, it does help being able to trim some stuff, and it makes you it makes you more resilient but less consistent, and this deck is already not very consistent. Again, we do not want to take the play. Ooh boy. And do we want this? We just kept a hand with nothing going on and we got punished for it. So we can't Commandeer, we can't Echoing Truth. We have no Narset, but we have a Faithless Looting. The way I see this is we have one combo piece, and we need a creature to reanimate, a Goryo's Vengeance, and a way to kind of like avoid the graveyard. So that's going to be a mulligan. Nothing we care about here. One Omniscience is down, though. We can Spoils. Did we get a Narset? We did not. All right, we're going to 5. And this is what I want to see. So we can keep this. Savage Beating. We need a way to get Narset into the graveyard. Savage Beating would be a second red card to cast Fury, but we're not at that point yet, so let's do this and get rid of Emrakul. If they start with Relic, we're pretty shafted here, but we're always Faithless Looting and getting Goryo's and a Simian Spirit Guide away from winning. Alright, no turn 1 Relic. That's good. We're going to Spoils Instep for a Goryo's. Or we might just be drawing for another piece. Because Pull from Eternity won't get a Narset. We need a Goryo's to go off, and we also need a way to get Narset into the graveyard. So we need one more combo piece before we can activate the Spoils. Even though this deck doesn't work all the time, I absolutely love it. We are currently down a match versus Tron. Alright, Sylvan Shrine, they're trying to piece it together. And there's a Pull from Eternity, which means we can Spoils into Goryo's. Hopefully exile a Narset, then Pull from Eternity it. Then we still need a land or a Simian Spirit Guide, but in the realm of possibility, that's it. Also, if they just do something absolutely nasty here, we can just Spoils and hope to hit Commandeer before we die. Just take their creature. Or their non-creature, I guess, is actually more appropriate for its effect. There's the mine. And 2 mana is going to be a sphere and a star. Alright. Are we gonna die? Guess not. We did get a Narset, though, which means... Why did you betray a Serum Powder? You could have been a land or a Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, so this means Instep, Pull from Eternity, and then top deck a Mana Source. And here's big mana. Then they're going to take our land. All right. Might have been correct to save spoils for Commandeer. Oh, Commandeer was actually on top. We could have taken their Karn. That feels bad. That feels really bad. Alright, so we need to draw back-to-back mana sources, and one of them needs to be black. Still doable, though. Alright, there's one mana source. Then we have... Again, this is when my personal taste of the single swamp comes into play to be relevant. Oh, opponent. Opponent, opponent, opponent. Really? What's with all the Thought-Knot series today? I thought we were just going to face roll some Phoenixes. Yep, there goes Goryo's, which means we need a land into a Goryo's before this gets... Well, we have some time. We have less time. You can have the Serum Powder. Alright, so... Opponent Karns us. We take 10. We'll exile our Echoing Truth and then draw Goryo's and still be able to win? Really? So not cool. Well, that's game. I just want to see if we're going to draw the Goryo's. Also... Okay, won't have a luck counter if they restart with Karn. Yep, you get, I guess, Fury of the Horde. Okay, well, honestly, they should have waited, but that's cool. I just want to see the Goryo's. You're playing with your food, opponent. I have nothing on the board. I'm not going to wait for you to go Sylvan Scrying. Don't be a dick. Oh! Lame. So lame. Alright, well, up to 1-2. Again, this deck is not consistent. If you want to do unfair things similar to this, you're going to run Grizz Shoalbrand. It's Nourishing Shoal, Grizzlebrand, same concept, turn slower. This is for the turn 1 kills, and the fact that you're savage beating somebody with a monk. Alright, this hand is nothing productive. We have a Narset and 2 mana, as well as a bunch of filler cards, so let's go ahead and mulligan. Oh boy. This is one of those hands that I'm not very happy keeping or Serum Powdering. So I'm actually probably going to keep this on the power of our Scry into a Faithless Looting. The Serum Powder getting rid of Goryo's is a real cost if we have to spoils for it. Going down to 5 cards when you need basically 4 to combo off is super hard. We're going to see 3 cards before, including our draw step, it'll be 4. Don't want that. And we just need to find a Narset for this hand to work. Oh boy. The pain! Alright, Serum Powder, Omniscience go away. We'll hit our land drop for turn. Then if we find a red source, we're looking pretty decent still. Bloodstained Mire typically means discard, and discarding away our Goryo's Vengeance is going to be super bad for us. Looks like it's either black-white tokens or Mardu Pyromancer. The fact that they didn't do that turn 1 for discard is kind of nice. That's less nice. We have no way to kill that. A lot of taxes in Tron tonight. Might be punishing us for how mean we were to that red-black opponent in game one. I think opponents try to figure out what the heck is going on here. Either that or they're trying to decide between these two. This is our best enabler, but we're closer to casting this. Our mana sources are essentially combo pieces in this deck when we're only running 13 of them. Ooh, I should have put Fury of the Horde in my Ball Lightning deck. No, that didn't keep enough cards in hand. It would give me something to do with the Electro Dominances, though. Basically, Coco into a Ball Lightning, play a Ball Lightning, attack in for 9, exile 2 Electro Dominances from hand, attack in for 9. That's kind of spicy. Alright, opponent, you've had a full minute. Can you please just take our Goryo's Vengeance so we can consider moving on with our life? Well, I started a little early because work actually had something to do tonight. But if opponent's going to be this slow, we might need to call it quits before the end of the night. Alright, and opponent, that's why you just need to make a decision, is because I'm not doing anything this turn. The odds of getting one of my 12 lands off the top 50 is less than 25%, so have at you. You probably have another way to look at my hand and take a card. Do 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 do. Maybe. Alright, there's Lily. Yep, kind of don't mind discarding. There we go. We have to do it the hard way again. Alright, we are drawing to one of our 3 Goryo's Vengeances to win. If we happen to find another land, we can start Faithless Looting, although we probably won't have any cards in hand by the time we get there. Yep. Who would have thought, with no creatures, you'd make me discard? But why? Can I just draw Goryo's Vengeance so I can close out a game? Because this might take a while if I don't. Ooh, boy. Alright, shall I kill myself? I can kill myself. I can also go get a land. If I go get a land, that means I have Faithless Looting open, but Faithless Looting is going to require a critical mass of cards, and Silion is going to make me discard. If I spoils for a land... Oh, boy. So I can spoils for... The problem is I'm going to... I might die, because I have to name Gemstone Caverns here. Or I guess I could name Mana Confluence, but... That's just going to reveal cards, and if it exiles Goryo's Vengeance, it's going to lower my odds of getting one. If I get a land, then it doesn't help me do anything, because I can Faithless Looting, but when I finish Faithless Looting from the yard, I'm still going to have a card in hand, and Lily's going to make me discard it. I guess I could technically wait until the turn that Lily is going to ultimate. In response to the ultimate, I can spoils for Goryo's. Wait, no, that doesn't work. I need spoils the turn she's going to ultimate, and I have to use one here to get a land. Alright, whatever. If I kill myself, I kill myself. We'll go out on good terms with ourselves. And then Mana Confluence actually taps for mana here. It hurts, but opponent is playing super slow. We go down to 4, and we're currently dead on the crackback. Just out of curiosity, Goryo's Vengeance was 3 cards down, so we Could have Goryo's the turn that they would have Lily ultimated. Alright. Discard. Who would have thought that Leyline of Sanctity was good for discard? Slaughter Pact probably comes in so that we can reclaim Trim Serum, Trim Brilliant Ultimatums, and a Savage Beating. Yeah, Spoils has not been kind to me in my last couple of videos. It killed me twice ad nauseum. And by kill, I mean like we only survived long enough to be killed on the backswing. It just put me down to death on the backswing there. I do not want to play first. Oh my gosh. What is with all these horrible hands? Well, there's a Goryo's, but it doesn't do anything. There's a Leyline. We only have one combo piece, but opponent's playing slow as dirt, and I can spoils. Oh my gosh, is this going to be a discard to hand size Narset? I doubt it, but if turn 4 comes around, that might be the game plan. Dread Wanderer? What is going on over there? Alright, so we actually are looking kind of okay despite the fact that I was critiquing this hand pretty hard. So Spoils of the Vault here is going to be able to get us Goryo's Vengeance, Pull from Eternity, Faithless Looting. We just need one more card that's important to our combo and we'll be able to pull this off. Spoils will probably also kill us the way tonight's been going, but when we're only on the table for 2, that kind of doesn't feel super important. Enter the Infinite is not a combo piece. Faithless Looting into Goryo's. One time for me, deck. I know that's the out. Okay, well that's a start. Into the Infinite does nothing in hand. Oh, I gotta go for it here. Alright, Spoils, do your stuff. I'm so confused. Opponent's running Dread Wanderer, but they paid for Liliana's? Goryo's Vengeance. Are we dead? We are not dead. Alright, do you have Surgical? I mean, I haven't even bought my Surgicals yet. They're like $70 online. Oh, they have it? Really? Alright, we have one turn to draw Faithless Looting into Pull from Eternity and Goryo's Vengeance. Wow. If that does not set the tone for the night, I don't know what does. The Dread Wanderer deck just surgicaled me. Yeah, hit me for 4. I have 1 out. I'm so confused, opponent. I'm so confused. Alright, so I can Faithless Looting. Yeah, I'm just dead. I don't think I can kill myself with this. Oh, I can. Alright. Oh, boy. Okay, well, most of the time I play this deck, I end up either 2-3 or 3-2. So hopefully we can steal this last one. But again, this deck is not very consistent. Piloting it is a little difficult. As soon as you start to understand what the lines are, it's kind of easy to pull it off. But, geez, this has been Most of the time I take at least one game from every opponent, but I just had the Dread Wanderer deck surgical me. Really don't know what to make of that. The Dispel in the sideboard is technically supposed to be in there for both basically Spell Snare, because that's the only card that interacts with us quick enough, or potentially Spell Pierce, and for Surgical, but I didn't even remotely have the read that the Dread Wanderer deck would be on Surgical. Because, let's actually check this out. So screen capture, Card Hoarder, Surgical. Oh, I guess it's 55? I guess the quote I was seeing was for this guy. That is still just absurd, though. Who plays Dread Wanderer with Surgical Extraction? Alright, we are not taking the play. And this hand has... I don't think I can actually mulligan this, because Spoils of the Vault is essentially any combo piece that I want. It is going to require me to draw into something specific, but here I get to exile Enter the Infinite and try to look for a combo piece until I get discarded. Lame. Alright, so taxes and discard appears to be the theme for tonight. Yep, goodbye, spoils. Pull from Eternity's cute. What are the odds that I get Surgical in game 1? Pull from Eternity looks like an odd card choice for this deck if you're not familiar with it. Gemstone Caverns usually gives us the ability to exile if we're on the draw. We also get the ability to exile with things like Commandeer and the... Alright, well, I believe the term is Monkey Beats. This deck functions on 3 mana, so there's no reason to hold on to the Simian Spirit Guide. Path? Thinner deck? Helix it? Lingering Souls. Alright. But we get a lot of ways to exile Narset, and then Pull from Eternity will get it. Also usually survive Surgical Extraction. Although now seeing the Serum Powder is making me think I should have kept the Simian Spirit Guide, because we would have been at 5 mana to hardcast a Narset of all things. Wow, this deck is inconsistent, but it's not even doing the inconsistent things very consistently. No, you don't want to trade half of your card for my monkey? But my monkey's an ape. He's even a spirit! Respect your fellow spirits. Oh well, he's going to be on chump block duty for a Bedlam Reveler here pretty soon. And by pretty soon, I mean probably next turn. I guess they need to stock the graveyard a little bit. Is this another Lingering Souls? K-Command. Oh boy. Opponent, at this point, I don't even think I know what my deck's supposed to do. Oh lordy. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Well, we smashed one person's dreams tonight. That's gonna be my takeaway. Funny enough, Faithful Saluting into Agorio's Vengeance would actually let me Emrakul them. They need to shock themselves again, but... One of the plan Bs for this deck is to actually get the Emrakul Gorios. So when this has a trigger, when Emrakul is put into the graveyard from anywhere, it shuffles its graveyard into its library. So Emrakul hits the graveyard, then you respond to the trigger by Goriosing it in. It doesn't come up a lot, but most of the time it comes up is actually through a Pull from Eternity into a Gorios. Alright, I'm actually not going to cast that. I feel like the 2 damage here is relevant if they have a bolt. The math here is we're on a 3-turn clock. If I end up paying 2 life for the Serum Powder, I end up going to 10, which is a 2-turn and a bolt clock. Considering this deck runs 4 bolts and anywhere between 2 to 4 helixes, it's quite likely they have it. In fact, if they have 2, that's a single turn clock. And I need a Faithless Looting here. That's not a Faithless Looting. Alright, let's move to the next game. Now, this list is supposed to be running ley lines. If I get Surgicaled again, I'm going to be so sad. Some lists have tried it because of the Young Pyromancer, but when you have Faithless Lootings and Bedlam Revelers, you end up wanting the ley lines just to get them for free so you don't take a turn to actually Surgical or pay life to Surgical. Ravenous Trap is interesting. It's not for this matchup, but it'll allow me to exile all cards from their graveyard if they end up multi-spelling or discarding cards with Bedlam Reveler. That's honestly just overboarding. I just want to make sure I'm not getting discarded, and I want to be able to bounce their ley lines. So, usual cuts. Have one more. I think that's just going to be Trim Serum Powder again, and let's see what we can do here. We do not want to play first. Alright, so this hand has Gemstone, Exiled Narset, Pull from Eternity, put it into the graveyard. I'm still missing my second mana piece, and I'm still missing a Goryo's Vengeance, so it's a mulligan. That's a horrible mulligan. And I have definitely seen worse, so let's go ahead and keep that. Don't want the basic. Then if they make us Exiled Narset, that's fine. If they go to Inquisition, I might just spoils for a land. It doesn't feel right. Well, it's not discard. That's nice. I think I'm going for Faithless Looting here. We need multiple pieces for this to work, and Faithless Looting will actually get me to a point I can get Narset in the bin. Oh, lame. Alright. Well, we technically only need the 2 mana, but if we see a Simian Spirit Guide and a Goryo's, we'd win. Looks like it's going to be actually these 2. Then we can Faithless Looting again. Definitely these 2. Alright, just looking for Goryo's. We have 3 of 47. That also means that Spoils of the Vault is live, so that's going to be 6 of 47. Haha! Got you, opponent. That was just an echoing truth for the ley line you didn't have. Yep. Opponent's on the Bolt plan. Pull from Eternity can get Goryo's into the graveyard. I don't necessarily think that's worth our time, but if opponent goes to discard, I'll definitely take advantage of it. I wonder if this deck is supposed to have Mission Briefing. I was playing with the idea of the Cervelle split card. Can't remember what that's called. Is split, color blue, color black. This guy. This is actually really good in our strategy. It'll allow us to bend some stuff, filter out our cards, draw a card. Oh boy. But getting 2 mana consistently in this deck is kind of rough, and you don't want to use your Gemstone Mine counters to Cervelle twice. It's 3 mana when you could essentially be running a Serum Visions. Mission Briefing feels interesting. Like, I could see Mission Briefing being kind of decent here. Mission Briefing to get the spoils, being able to bin a Narset off the top. I haven't played with a lot of the new cards, but I really do like this deck. It's been one of the more fun ones to play. But the deck doesn't want to seem to agree with me tonight. I will be running this multiple times, though. This was just the first night because I was in a little bit of a time crunch. We're going to be able to wrap up this league faster than most of the other ones because we're just sprinting to get our end game. All right. So we probably have 2 turns, assuming that's a bolt, or they top deck a bolt. And more savage beatings. But I want my Gorios. Ooh, and I actually think we have lost Boils as of out now. Not only are we getting kind of low on life, but we don't have the extra mana for it. So if we were to Spoils for Gorios, Liliana would just make us discard it. Opponent discarded a backup Liliana. So assuming they don't have a bolt, we have one last turn. Show me the bolt! Well, we know whatever they're holding isn't a land. Really? Alright. Oh, and I can't draw? I want to draw. Wow. Narset Cannon, what did I do to displease you? I know it's been like 2 months since I played you, but that was like 10 turns down. All 4 were in the bottom 29 cards of my deck. Oh well. So Narset Cannon. I do believe some of the correct choices, as I've stated out, is at least 1 basic. I've had multiple times where I've just needed a black source to go off and my opponent's Field of Ruin or Ghost Quartered me, expected me to be the stock list, and that Swamp allows me to go off or allows me to tutor the last piece that I need. I've had spoils for Monkey and Monkey to Faithless Looting into my combo, and it's just been fantastic. Enter the Infinite is your fastest win condition. You can technically win by beating down multiple times, but why would you want to do that? Being able to just enter the Infinite, put Omniscience on top, free cast a Fury of the Horde, take your extra combat step, get Omniscience into play, recast another Enter the Infinite to get a card on top of your deck, and Emrakul is the fastest line for MTGO that doesn't require you fiddling around and whiffing and like trying to hope that you get another extra combat step. Making sure that you have a Fury of the Horde so you can actually go off. Pull from Eternity is an interesting card choice for this deck. It does actually allow you to grab cards off of Serum Powder, as well as Gemstone Caverns and Fury of the Horde and Commandeer, but the number of times I've had that come up isn't very high. The times that it's actually mattered was naming a card with Spoils of the Vault with intent to get the combo piece that you need, as well as a Narset into Exile to pull from Eternity has been pretty high. Unfortunately, if the card you're naming to get Narset into the graveyard is Pull from Eternity and hoping to hit a Narset, you need to have full Pull from Eternities, or you'll kill yourself with Spoils. It's kind of a catch-22 where you need the card, but it doesn't feel very good when you don't have it. There are a couple of those in this deck. If we get a good number of pieces, this deck could actually probably become tier. The extra combat steps are awkward, but things like the new Sphinx that allow you to scry the top, I think it's 3 cards of your deck in your opening hand, are just so insanely good. And I believe it's only 4 mana, which is actually castable with our mana base, unlike Narset. I have done it like 3 or 4 times, but it's never pretty and it's never what you want to do. Usually your opponent's mulligan very aggressively towards hate and you're just like, screw it, whatever, hard cast Narset, gonna win anyway, GG's. Brilliant Ultimatum does feel a little weak in this deck. It is a blue card for Commandeer, and it's a redraw from Narset. Again, I'd much prefer to see Enter the Infinite. It's just hard. Like, there are a couple of spots in this deck that just need to be weird flex pieces. Being able to Spoils for a tutor piece is actually quite powerful, but it's one of the ways that you die. Going 1-4 tonight is probably an average showing for this deck. On average, I usually at least get 2 matches, and I usually get 1 game out of everything, so it was a little rough tonight. We ended up playing Thought-Knot Seer, which is hard because it just exiles a combo piece from our hand. Thalia that slowed us down, and we stumbled a little bit. Discard was also super rough, but that's basically what Thought Knot is. Those are definitely our worst matchups. That's why we have a dedicated ley line of in the board. All four come in whenever we expect that. I probably should have gotten the name off of Tron, although it was an Eldrazi Tron, so that might be an off list. I don't know. But I love this deck. It's so much fun. I want to foil this out. I want to take it to dinner. I want to get married, have kids, live by the ocean. This is the dream deck. It does so many fun things. We want to have this like fully foiled out for whenever we go to F&M and potentially get put on the streaming table. Oh, you're on the streaming table? Guess I'm playing Narset Cannon tonight. It just sounds like so much fun. It just... I love this deck. It's so much fun to play. It is not your stock, I'm going to play it every week deck. If you play it every week, people are probably going to hate you. The number of times that I've sat down and ran it through a League on Modern just for fun has been fantastic. It is the Dream Crusher deck. Again, you take it to a GP, you'll probably win 2 matches, and those people hate you forever because they'll come back. People will ask, how was the GP? Oh, I lost to Narset Cannon. It took me out of the runnings. Like... yeah, this deck doesn't lose to players, it loses to itself. The games where we've been interrupted, it's been because we didn't play correctly or we didn't draw correctly. This deck almost completely negates what your opponent's doing. This is 100% gold fishing. There are some very good lines to take. There are different names to call off of Spoils of the Vault. It is very skill intensive or statistic intensive. I'm sure that if you had a geometric calculator, you could sit there and actually figure out what the best names are, what everything is. I kind of just go off of eyeballing it and understanding how many cards in the top, but that's probably not right. And the number of times that you should be exiling cards that don't matter are going to statistically change up your matches, and it is super high variance, but a ton of fun to blow through, and it's pretty quick. I mean, we got through this in an hour and 15 minutes, and we had one of our opponents playing crazy slow, another opponent trying to read all of our cards. Yeah, I love this deck. I highly recommend it to anybody to play, probably not hang on to. It is moderately expensive, but it's just so much fun. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good one.